Today we are here with Ms. Sarah Crawford. You are the Director of Women's Business Center at True Access Capital. You are an entrepreneur, a fashion stylist, a connector. We don't get going up what a connector is, and a curator. For people that don't know who Sarah Crawford is, I've known her my entire life. I've known her since I was 5, 6, something like that. Yeah, 5. And we're going right into our 40s. So
you don't need to tell them that part.
Through all of the things that you've done so far into your life, I mean, I'm going to get into a lot more, but you've been very successful over the things that you've done over the years that you've been an entrepreneur. So how would you define success?
You know, success is such a broad word, but for me, most people equate success with money. Money is important, but money's not everything. I think for me, success has really been more about moving in the way I want to move. Like just moving in purpose, doing the things that make me happy, things that I want to do. I believe when you are able to do that, you're able to pretty much do whatever you want to do, right? And it makes you happy. Like, you want to wake up, and I always tell people, I know it sounds corny, but don't you want to wake up and be happy in the morning and know that you're going somewhere, going to a job that you love, or you're going to a business that you love, or whatever it is. You know, everybody's not meant to be an entrepreneur, and that's fine. But maybe you have a job that you love. Like, you want to wake up and when you wake up and you're not okay with it, you might want to reevaluate some things. So I really see, I think that's one of the key things about success, and I equate that to success.
Now you've been you've had your business for a long time in our original, and I would ask, when would you say was the moment that you decided to jump into being an entrepreneur?
So I think jumping into entrepreneurship came well before our original was even a thought. So, and I know some people have heard me say this before, but my life and my family is deeply rooted in entrepreneurship. My mom owns a small business, my dad owned a small business, my grandfather owned a small business, and my uncle is the first African-American printer in Wilmington, Delaware. So I kind of can't get around it. I feel like I couldn't get around it. It was kind of inevitable. My sister also has two of my sisters have small businesses. So we just breed like entrepreneurship in my family. If I didn't want to, I think they would have been fine with that. But I think that as a child, watching the way my parents moved, their work ethic, things they were doing, things my siblings were doing, I think that, it just kind of like started planting a seed. And I can remember all the way, probably like in 8th grade, where I knew I wanted to be a designer. And in my mind, designer equaled you make clothes and you have your own business. I don't even know if that was actually true then, but that's what made sense to me. So that's what it was going to be. So as time moved on, in our original, it was I didn't have a name for it, but I knew I wanted to be in that fashion industry. So I think it was always a thought. It was always something I knew I was going to do. I do think that as time has moved along, I've moved out of the fashion space some. So I've created businesses and I've created brands now. So it's slightly different, but I knew that I was always kind of bred in, that was my thing. That was going to be my thing.
And you're talking about the businesses that you're in. I've watched you, start, and you've done a lot. For one, you created the Her competition for female small business owners. Can you talk about that a little bit? Because to me, I think that's more that's special that a lot of people, nobody's really doing. You know what I mean? That it brings, for one, it brings love to an area, for women, to where they can congratulate each other, they can be proud of each other.
Absolutely.
And also competition. Competition breeds, that creates a lot of good relationships.
Yeah, people always see competition as a bad thing. I don't. So the Her Helping Entrepreneurs Rise competition, that's the long name. I created that during COVID, actually. So during COVID, what I could see in my day job and outside of my day job of being the director of the Women's Business Center, I work with small business owners, creatives, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, whatever you want to call them. I work with them all the time, and COVID was hard for everybody. People were trying to figure out how they were going to sustain. People were laid off. They wasn't working. We had all these different things going on, but small business community, it got hit so hard. And people were just trying to figure out how they were going to sustain not only for themselves, but also move the needle forward for their employees and, just kind of keep their business afloat. And, when you help businesses grow, that's a hard piece. That's a hard thing to watch. And I was just like, how do we get them money other than offering them loans? And I feel like loans are great, but everybody's not equipped for that. And some of them already had loans. So why would they, they're trying to get out of debt and just sustain, not getting more. So the Her Business Plan competition became a thing. And I was just like, let's figure out how we can get these individuals some source of money, revenue, income that they can utilize for their businesses. So it's three places. This is our third year doing the business plan competition. So the first year it was just for existing businesses, and we opened it up last year to existing and startup. Some people started businesses during COVID as well for the obvious reason they needed money. So the first prize is $10,000 and the second and third are $5,000. And it's really simple. You go to an information session, you find out what the criteria is, which for me, I kind of kept it light. And, then you build your business plan. So if you have a business plan, you just want to make sure that it's thorough. They can work with one of the counselors at the WBC, or, you can work on it on your own, and then you get submitted, and then the panel of judges judge. So, yeah, there's only 3 prizes, but you have a good chance of winning. So every year, our intake, like our submission intake, it averages at about 15 different businesses, which isn't large. I would like to see it get larger, which also means I need to increase the pot of money. But I feel like you have a decent chance of winning if you put it, you put the work in. And the great part about it is, and I know some people are like, but they're going to say that when I say this, but a business plan is a living, breathing document. I say that all the time. It's the guide to your business. So even if you don't win the money, you have the guide to your business, and now you can use that business plan to now go and get, try and get other monies and other grants and things from other places, or even if you want a loan, you can do that as well. So I feel like you win all around.
How did you stay so focused during COVID? Because a lot of times, for a lot of people who had larger businesses, they went under. So for you to stay focused and to make sure other people were fine, how did you do that?
That's why you win though. We're gonna get into that too.
I feel like, and I don't want to sound like the weight of the world's on my shoulders, but I feel like not only is it a privilege, but it's my job. And I don't really mean, like, when I say my job, I don't mean I am, like, I'm hired by this company to do it, my job. I mean, like, this is my purpose. Yes, I'm supposed to win too, but when you're doing great and you can pull others up with you win. Like, so to your point, I was going to say I'm blessed because I bless other people. That's how I feel about it. So it was hard to stay focused because there's a lot going on. You're trying to make sure you're safe. You're trying to make sure you don't catch COVID, and you're trying to maintain your work. It was a lot of moving parts, and I will say, I remember having a conversation with my leader, and I said to him, I'm exhausted. And I felt like we were at like half capacity in the office. We weren't, but I feel like we worked super hard at work to make sure that these businesses were like taken care of. As far as our classes and technical assistance, we were coming up with all the things that we can come up with to make sure that they sustain. And I was also doing that outside of the office as well. That's how the Original Color Collective was born. And just making sure, like, when you see things, you want to be a solution. So, with the Original Color Collective, and I know I'm probably jumping, but that happened during the time too. So, what I also noticed that these businesses were not equipped to be in a digital space. So if you can't make money face to face, you need to be making money online. Really, you need to be doing both. But they weren't able to do that. So I was like, how can I do this? So it was like, they need content, they need video, they need photos. And you know, you were a part of the collective, so we came together and we made that happen as well. And it was a beautiful thing because we were able to really increase people's visibility. We were able to do that less than 2 years, and we increased it by like 65%. So that means that these businesses now have another avenue where they can try and sustain and reconnect with customers and connect with new ones. So.
Now, talking about the original Color Collective, because I was going to get into that. It was you and Andre Wright Jr. Y'all were the co-founders, and me and Andrew Major. You know, we came along with you guys, and we just pushed it. It was like a movement.
Pushed the needle forward.
Yeah, it was a movement. It was I think. Well, I'm gonna speak for me, but for me, it was. I learned so much from it. For one, I think I tell you all the time. During that time, I studied you. You know what I mean? And
you trip me out every time.
Yes, when you say and when I say that, you always like you just shake your head. But I say that because, again, during COVID, when all of that stuff was going on, your mental space was, we got to figure out a way to get all the small businesses who are trying to get off of the ground, and then and when we sat down and talked about it, like you said, with the digital space, to help people with their websites and take pictures and photo shoots and all that kind of stuff. Those things, I was just jumping into my own thing. You know what I mean? So to see all of this stuff and to watch how all this was moving, I'm like, this is something I never would have even thought of. You know what I mean? To do that, and now to see all these other businesses that are thriving off of that stuff, I mean, for me, that was amazing to me. Yeah. You know what I mean? And we learned a lot, but through all of that, for you and your brand, trying to intertwine all of it, what is something that you will never compromise on your business when you're dealing with other businesses?
So, I've been in the game for a long time, and what you will learn in business is sometimes you gotta take some L's. They may not be the ones you want to take, but you take some L's. The hope is that you learn from the situations, the lessons learned. But certain things I'm not going to jeopardize, and I think a lot of people know this about me. I am big on branding. I am big on who I am, who I present myself to the world to be, who I want people to know I am, how I want people to view my space, my orbit, however you want to put it. And if you over here doing some crazy stuff, you can just keep on scooting, because I'm not going to do that, because I don't want to. I'm very big on who I align myself with in a general purpose, and I feel like aligning yourself with the right people, the right tribe, however you want to say that, is really important. It goes back to that thing I always say, and everybody says it, your network is your net worth. So who you rock out with, they're an extension of you too, and vice versa. That's what I like to think. So that's one of the things, that, and then I'm gonna say loyalty. Those are probably the two things. And that doesn't mean you can't work with other people. I don't mean like that, but when you in a unit, you run together. We winning together. You just wanna have some loyalty and some and some respect. Mm-hmm. So I would definitely say those are the things I am not jeopardizing at all.
So what is one thing that you would change about your business journey if you could go back? Because you started years and years ago, and like you said, those things you learn from a lot of this stuff. So if you could go back to, and I'm sure I'm gonna be difficult on this, because I don't want you to give the answer of I wouldn't change nothing, because
no, I'm not gonna
it made me who I am. We all here.
Yeah, that's true. But there's things you want to change.
Yeah, what are some things that you would change? Because like you said, with the L's, some L's you don't want to change. Some L's you don't want to take, but you do learn from. But also, back then, if I would have known not to go down that road, I wouldn't have had to win. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. It's a lesson I didn't have to learn, because I didn't have to do it. Mm-hmm. I think the biggest thing, and I talk about this in the African American community all the time, financial literacy. Mm. We are not educated enough on financial literacy, like at all. And I want to say I spent and wasted so much money over the years. If I had a better understanding of money and how it worked, and how to I don't want to say how to play with money, but how to manage the money and where to put it and where not to put it, how to invest it, not invest it. Oh, I'd be a beast.
That's crazy. You think about that now as you said that, because we all know here in Delaware that you are.
Oh God, you're gonna say something wrong.
No, that you are a celebrity. You know that. Everybody knows that. You remain humble.
I don't receive
Again,
that.
I've known you since I was 5 years old. So I know.
Okay, that's fine. This
all
just shows
the-
you what you have.
all the things that you've done over these years, you know what I mean, that's something to say that when everybody says something good about you,
I appreciate
you that. You
Let me, you gotta let me comment. I will say this. I am very humble, and it's not pretend. That's just how I am. I don't believe that you need to literally be talking about yourself and all the things you're doing all the time. I don't need to do that. But have I worked very hard over the years to become who I am and to evolve into this person? Absolutely. And I'm still evolving, hopefully still evolving to whatever my next is. And it's not always an easy road traveled. But I do have those little moments where I be like, you know what, I deserve this because I worked hard. I've been working hard. So, I don't do it for the accolades, but it's always nice to be recognized for the things that you do. And honestly, when business owners just they just are so appreciative and they have so many things to say, it really, really, really does touch my heart. It really does. Because I don't necessarily do it for that reason. I just want to see them win. And if they don't have the knowledge or the resources, I just want to be able to, that's the connector. I just want to be able to connect you to what you need so you can, move where you need to move to.
This is a two-parter, because for me, learning so much from you and, me and Andrew talk all the time about entrepreneurship. What's the hardest part about being an entrepreneur? And then the second part is, if there's any, how do you deal with the fear and doubt as you're going through
Lord,
being an entrepreneur?
that's a real question. Okay, that's a real question. So the first question was, what is the hardest thing about being an entrepreneur? So let's see. Oh my gosh. Again, entrepreneurship is not for the faint of heart. Lord have mercy, it's not. But even in the darkest times, it is very rewarding. It has a lot of positive and great things about it. So I'm not going to downplay it like that. But one thing for sure is being diligent and being consistent. Because when you start saying you're an entrepreneur and you want to work for yourself and you want X, Y, Z, that means you got to be moving. You got to be moving in that direction. So I would definitely say diligence and consistency. But another thing that's really hard about being an entrepreneur, and this is probably a weird one, but lack of knowledge. Because sometimes you want to do something, but you really don't have all the knowledge you need to know or all the information. So I'm always telling people to research, not just because I want you to have your head in a book, but know what you're getting into and what it could be. Because your vision may be like this small, but it could really be this big. You know what I mean? And that's because you don't know how to manage money or, whatever the case is, or you don't know strategy. Research is everything. And even when you've been in the business for a long time, even like me, I still have to do refreshers because, again, when we talk about evolution, things are always changing.
Yeah.
So it could be like this on Monday, but next Friday you did something else. Why did you do that? So now I need to go figure out what that is so I can make sure that I can apply that to what I'm trying to do or what I would like to do.
And you just jumped into, well, you didn't jump into it, you kind of led me to my next question. But what are the most...
So what the fear? Is that what it is?
Well, okay, you're right. I jumped ahead.
Okay, that's fine.
So
we can jump around.
So you answer that, and then I'm gonna go and.
So, you said, how do I keep out of that space, kind of?
But how do you deal with the fear and doubt? Because none of us
I don't think there's an actual answer for that because I think no matter how great you are, you're always hardest on yourself. I am my worst critic. And I tell people, I'm so disappointed because it didn't go this way, blah, 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 blah. And they're like, seemed correct to me.
I know.
And, you know, you have, as people, as humans, we have great ideas. You know, some people have great ideas. We have all these visions, and sometimes they're very lofty, and we have this idea of what we want it to be. And sometimes it don't always happen that way. And a lot of that comes from us being afraid that people aren't going to receive it a certain way, or we're not going to get to that end goal the way we want to. You know, we can be afraid of anything, but what I have learned recently in some of my endeavors that I am currently working on, fear can be paralyzing. And I don't think we talk about that part of entrepreneurship enough. It can be totally paralyzing to the point that it'll have you halt, like pause everything. And I have recently just come to the conclusion that I have to let go. Like, you can't control, I have low-key control issues, and you can't control everything all the time. But if you always put one foot forward and you work toward that goal and chip away at it, you can make it happen. Like, you have the capability of making it happen. So I think it's more or less like, and you know, I'm not trying to get on the religious box, but you got, for me, I pray a lot. Like, I gotta pray because I need guidance and I need peace. And my peace is everything. So when I'm really zen and I'm in my space and I'm just, you know, one with me and I'm just thinking, figuring it out, I can put them puzzle pieces together, and I gotta relinquish that fear, because if I sit in fear and let it paralyze me, I'm not gonna move.
And I think that's necessary for people to hear who are jumping into entrepreneurship, because it definitely.
And you can be dope as hell. Like, you can be dope. Like, I'm not. It don't got nothing to do with your talent or whatever the case is. You can be so dope. You know you that chick. You know you that dude. Like, but fear is a real thing, and it's okay. And I also think fear is important because it shows you how uncomfortable you are, and I'm also learning that. Being in an uncomfortable place is so necessary because it's showing you that it's more out here, and this is not where you're supposed to be. To get where you gotta go, you're gonna have to get uncomfortable a little bit. You gotta get comfortable with being uncomfortable, and Lord knows that is a hard space to be in, but you gotta do it.
Because fear is the unknown.
Yeah.
And if you think about if we knew what the outcome would we really work hard?
Exactly. Because it's like, if I know I'm gonna win, then why am I do all this? You can't. But to your point, the unknown is scary. It's just like if they tell you to jump down the well, you'll be like, I don't know what's down there. I ain't going down there. But if you knew it was at the end of the well, and if you knew it was 10 mil down at the end of the well, you're behind going to jump.
You
jumping down there.
I'm out.
See?
I'm out. 10 what down there? Yeah.
So I do think that fear and the uncomfortableness is necessary.
So this is going to be a little uncomfortable for you because of my comfortability. I'm going to run down a few of these awards.
Oh, Lord.
Because I got a question there.
Okay, cool.
Now, you were voted DPT's Delaware Business Times 40 Under 40. You were the National Coalition of 100 Black Women Next Generation Awards you got. You were Delaware Today's Magazine Woman in Business Award. You were named one of Delaware's most influential people in 2022 by Delaware Online. This is just a few of them. I'm not going to read them all because there's more. But it's just a few of them. So what I'm going to ask is, what are three, I'm going to just say three, what are the three of the most important habits that you need to have to be a successful entrepreneur?
Habits. Ooh. See, this is you know why this is uncomfortable? Because some of the things I'm going to tell you, I may have to practice what I preach a little bit harder. Because sometimes we know things, but we fall out of the habit. To be successful, one thing is balance. And I'm still learning balance. And I think as people, we're always going to be learning balance. Because success is not, like I said, for me, success is not just equation of money. It's also, taking care of you, your peace. Because sometimes you don't want people and you don't want to be in people's face. You want to be to yourself because you gotta recharge.
Man,
so yeah, you gotta recharge, guys. You gotta recharge. So balance is key for that. And then also, I say that because sometimes you have families. It's important to spend time with family as well. call them, check on them, be with them. And I spend time with family, but not probably as much as I could or should, because I do work a lot, and so that, and just learning how to not overwork, and that is a hard thing. I am a Capricorn. We are wired like that. We be trying to get to the bag, but but honestly, like I said, it's not always about the money. So learning balance, and I'm still learning that. So just trying to just make sure. So balance is definitely one. I think that authenticity. I can't even get it out, y'all.
Authenticity.
That's there we go.
So you messed up twice because I would have messed up 3 times.
It's cool. It's cool. I'll take it. But I think just being true to you, being true to what your vision is, despite what you may hear or people may say. Constructive criticism does not count. Let me be clear. Constructive criticism is to help you, not to deter you.
I love constructive criticism.
Yes.
I'm one. Give me that constructive.
But people confuse that with someone telling them, "Oh, they said I shouldn't do it." No, they're not. They're just trying to give you better tips and things. So that. So that's one. And habits. I think my third habit. I'm gonna talk about my third habit. Is you have to think strategically. Strategy is key for me. I don't even think that I realized that until about maybe 3 years ago, how strategic my mind works, because I don't necessarily always talk about my strategy. I just move in it. But I think that's a habit. You have to be intentional. So for me, strategy is intentional. So it would be balance and intention, and then authenticity. So I just feel like strategy, everything I do it intentionally. Even if I'm doing it now for some purpose, I know that it's going to work me. It's going to help me later for what then my next is or my bigger picture is. And that's important, because that's how you do a lot of things. That's how you build relationships. That's how you build partnerships. That's how you grow your business and scale. It's how you get more visibility. It could go into a lot of things, but I'm intentional about everything that I do.
I think that's one thing, though, for me that I've learned as I got older, because I think we had a conversation a while back, and we were talking about something, and I said that the most important information, or whatever you want to call it, game or whatever, is I got from women.
Yeah, you just said that.
I got from women, and you saying being strategic, I think a lot of times women have a tendency, when they picture things or they have an idea or something, to us it may come off as y'all are panicking about something. But the thing about it is, for a woman, you see the entire picture. When a man says they got a vision, it's in pieces. Y'all see the entire thing. So it's, like you said, the strategy. If I go here, but it's like the maze. We used to, back in the day, we used to draw the little, go through the maze and all.
I'm going to tell you the downside of that, though, for me. The downside of me, and not the intentional part, but really just being so strategic and not even being so conscious of it at times, is that sometimes I forget to sit in the successes and relish in them and actually take them all in and be like, oh my God, do you know I did this? Sometimes I'm just foot on the gas. What's next? Where we going next?
Because it's more to go.
Yeah, so I'm like, what's next? Okay, so now I'm going to go do this because I already did this, moving on. But I don't want to toss successes to the side or make it, you know what I mean? And I probably in the last probably 2-3 years, I probably have tried to I've gotten so much better at really just sitting and relishing in it. I can remember when I did New York Fashion Week, we were all having dinner afterwards and they were talking, and all of a sudden I was like, y'all know I just did New York Fashion Week? It was so crazy. So it's just it hits me like waves, but I'm really trying to learn how to just really sit in it and just relish in it.
But at that time, you had a chance to just actually sit down.
Really think about it. I wasn't moving in it. And that's my thing. I'm always in it, go.
And that's why I always think, and even everybody around you, your circle of friends and family that you have, they always try to remind you because they know how hard. You see, and what I was saying earlier about all all the awards and stuff. Like I said, I didn't say them all. You heard her say New York Fashion Week. She was.
I told her myself.
The LA Fashion Week, all that. You know, you've done all that, but like you said, you had a goal, you accomplished it, and then you continue to move forward. I got maybe two, three more questions.
No.
But
Here's one that I want to ask you. What advice would you give to someone who's trying to start their own business?
My first thought is a lot of people want to start businesses, but they do not actually know what it takes to have a business. One of the classes that we offer at WBC is how to start a business, and really, it's not really, we need to change the name, because it's not really how to start a business. It is almost like a scope, like a look into the things you should be thinking about if you are going to want to start a business. So, going to like local resources, like SCORE, SBDC, WBC, YWCA, places like that, Navigator Program, they have like classes and sessions. So again, it goes back to research. Find out what it actually takes to go into a business. Research that industry. And I love to tell people, because this is a big thing, find somebody who not is like you, but somebody in that industry you want to be in. And I'm not saying go copy them, but like go and research them. Kind of like stalk them a little bit on their social, kind of see how they move, because it really kind of gives you a light into that. And then also mentorship. Mentorship is great. I've had a few mentors over my life. I need to probably get a new one because life has changed. But they help you to really see, what is really going to take and what you're really going to be doing. Because sometimes it seems so glamorous to own your own business. Oh, I own my own business. Child, like I said, it's rewarding, but it's not always glamorous. Because when you up at 2 o'clock in the morning trying to send proposals and do all these things and make sure the numbers make sense, nobody doing that with you but you. You know what I mean?
And nobody wants to say it, but that's when that doubt comes in sometimes.
It does.
Because in your mind, it's like, I've been doing this 2, 3 o'clock in the morning for 2 weeks straight. I'm tired.
And I don't do it anymore.
Is this what I really want to do?
Exactly. And I feel like that's the realism of it. Like you need to talk to someone, research, find out what it takes, because are you really willing to give it that? And if you don't, that's okay too. Maybe you, like we always say, you work a bit, you go work for somebody, that's okay too. Like, I done been there, done that. So, you know what I mean? But I just think that sometimes we have a false vision of what it really is, like a false idea of what entrepreneurship really is. And it takes something from you, boy. It takes something from you.
Now, you write down all the things that you've done, all the things that you've accomplished. What would you say to young Sarah, little Sarah that I met on the St. Peter's Corridor? If you could just look at her and prepare her for something, tell her something that would help her all the way through up to that, what would that be?
See, that little girl was crazy too. That little girl. I talk in third person a lot. So little Sarah was probably just as ambitious as grown Sarah. So that's why I'm like, what do I tell her? But what I think I would honestly say is that everything you're doing is going to lead you to what you're doing later. So keep doing that and be intentional about that. That's really what I think I would say. Just to keep doing it, because my mom had me speaking in front of people since the time I was 2. Let's start with that. So I was always public speaking, and I'm always in front of people now. So I know we said this earlier, like we're not gonna say we won't change nothing. Yeah, there's always something that you want to change, but I do wholeheartedly believe a lot of what I've done in hindsight has always been, it's literally where I'm at now. So I can't even deny that at all, but I would literally just tell her to keep doing what she's doing, and I would definitely tell her not to worry about what other people's opinions are of who you are or what you're doing, because you got this.
Yeah,
you got this.
Now I want y'all to go check out her TED Talk on YouTube. It's called Signature Pigment. I want y'all to check that out. It's dope. It's a dope. Just a really good talk on just how how do you all really think sometimes? You know, growing up and just the things that we grow through, growing up in school, because kids can be jackasses. But, you know, those are some things that we learn along the way, you know, and it makes us who we are. You know, so Sarah Crawford, I would say, my sister. All I got is brother, so, you know, you have been nominated to be, you know, my sister. But where can they reach you on social media and your websites and all those things?
Straight across the board, I'm Sarah A. Crawford. My website is Sarah A. Crawford, so it's 2 A's. I know that looks crazy, but SarahACrawford.com. Instagram, I'm Sarah.A.Crawford, so again, Sarah A. Crawford. And Facebook, I'm Sarah A. Crawford. It's straight across the board.
If y'all need help with anything, y'all need to get connected. This is the lady that you get in contact with. So, Sarah, I appreciate you for jumping on this podcast with me.
Thank you for having me.
I was raised to embody my uniqueness and to educate others on albinism. You see, when people aren't quite comfortable with whom they are in their own skin, they tend to reflect their insecurities onto you. And society tried its hand at crippling my abilities. But my parents, Clyde and Carmela, they inspired the best style I will ever wear, being my own kind of beautiful, standing confidently and knowing who I am. And with that, I fought harder, pushing through hurt and pain to find my life's passion.
You're on YouTube, baby.